Which is better for gains, barbells or dumbbells? Hey everybody, I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. To me, this is kind of a funny topic because people try to make these arguments for both, and it's really comical. And the reason it's comical is that they're both useful tools. You don't have to pick one or the other. And in fact, we could make a lot of arguments for why both could technically be better. Right? We could sit around and argue it all day long, but I'm going to say as a coach that if you're trying to maximize muscle growth in an area, actually doing both is a really, really good idea. It's a really good idea. I personally like to do barbells followed by dumbbells. So, a perfect example, you saw me starting there just in this clip with the dumbbell incline, but actually that day I did barbell incline and then I did dumbbells on the day that workout actually was filmed on. So this was actually my last set of incline, which you see me doing there with 245, right? And then I followed up with dumbbells. Now, I can give you a perfect example as to what each one brings to the table. All right. With the barbell incline, obviously we can use more weight. We're not forced to stabilize as much. So there's that to be said. So there's a lot of potential for mechanical tension, but we also have more variability in grip width. So the incline bench, perfect example, because normally we would say, well, you can get more range of motion with dumbbells in many cases. Yeah, that's true. On the incline though, it's extremely hard for a lot of people to even touch their chest on an incline. Okay, that puts a deep stretch already. You're probably not getting significantly deeper, are you? One of the things you can do though with the barbell, you can get a lot wider. So that is again a perfect example. We could take the incline bench and say, hey, we can get a lot wider with the barbell. You can't really get those dumbbells out wide like I'm doing there. Okay, that puts an enormous amount of tension on the upper chest. Okay, enormous amount of tension. And in fact, I am of the opinion you can almost get a better stretch reflex because of that. Right? Absolutely. So you can do that and we can go heavier. We can do lower reps because that was, like if I'll work around, 4 to 8 reps, maybe on an incline with a barbell. And then when I go to dumbbells, I'll do 12 plus. All right. That is a perfect example of combining them together. You take that big, heavy movement and you do one that can put you into that stretch reflex because of that wide grip that you can't really necessarily maintain. You can't stabilize that grip with the dumbbells. But then with the dumbbells, we can turn it in a little bit more. It's a different stretch. So we're almost working the pec at a different angle when we do that. Okay? Very, very different angle. So it works great. And then we can do heavier weight, lower reps versus really high rep pump work. All right? It works fantastically well to work those two different angles, even if you wanted to specialize in incline work. All right, same thing here. You see me doing shoulders. I've got some barbell seated press. Of course, you could actually, an upright row might have been better to put in this clip, but you know what? I'm just running with it. I'm already voicing it over, got it in there. I'm just going to run with it. That is another perfect example, though. You take a nice, big, heavy movement that works a lot of muscles, right? And then you can come through and isolate it with a smaller dumbbell type movement. In that case, I use plates, but most people do dumbbells on that exercise. But the ability to do a nice big movement that works a lot of muscles with a barbell, we can do that on shoulders. And in that case, again, I actually have a couple different barbell movements I like for shoulders, overhead pressing and upright rows. But then you can do laterals, okay? You do rear delts, side delts, front delts, whatever. You can isolate with a dumbbell or plate or whatever easier. All right, you can come through and isolate it. It works in combination really, really well. We also have the advantage when we go to dumbbells of being able to do them isolaterally. Sorry guys, I'm getting tongue-tied, and I'm just going to leave it in. I don't care. I don't even care. But when you saw my curls in there, I did some preacher curls, okay? I'm doing a curl with a easy bar there. I also like to do straight bar curls, right? Do a nice big movement where we can do a nice heavy weight because again, a standing barbell curl is a basic heavy movement. People don't think of it as a big compound, but it can be, absolutely can, because there are other muscles involved in that, right? Nice big movement for the biceps. In fact, we could argue that when you're holding onto a bar, it's easier to get that front raise, right? That extension of the shoulder up towards the face a little bit, which is one of the functions of the bicep. Okay. And then afterwards, you can do a different movement. And in that case, you could do one arm at a time. You can do that same thing with the laterals. You do the same thing on a tricep extension. Okay. These are examples of what we're talking about, because with barbells, a lot of times we really can move a lot of weight. They're nice big movements. That stabilization, how many people over there, well, I like machines because it takes the stabilizing out, but really barbells do that a lot more than dumbbells. So people who make that argument should probably be terrified of dumbbells, right? They require way more stabilization. But again, barbells let us use a nice, big, heavy movement. It's great for our low rep, heavy work. When we come to dumbbells, though, they allow us to have a little bit of finesse and refinement because of the ability to do each arm independently, the ability to adjust hand positions more. Okay? With a dumbbell curl, you can supinate and pronate the wrist. With pressing, we can hold different angles than the barbell gives us. Again, it allows us to work some slightly different angles. Okay, and at the end of the day, when you start looking at muscle growth, we know that no one exercise ever fully recruits every single muscle fiber in a muscle. It might get the overwhelming majority of them, but we do need a little bit of variation, and that's been noticed in the lab, been noticed in studies, that a little bit of variation sometimes can cause quite a bit of extra growth because of a different joint angle, a different position, even if it's a relatively similar movement working the same joint. Just like we've seen bench pressing versus tricep extension skull crushers. You're still doing the elbow joint. It's the same movement, but it has to do with where the focus is in the movement. And sometimes it has to do with hands positions, grip positions. These things matter. But we saw that in studies that benching works the lateral head more, makes it grow more, right? Pressing does, whereas knee extension causes the long head to grow more. But when both were done, the overall tricep grew more. So again, it's not a case of something like barbells versus dumbbells. It's just using the different tools for the job and sometimes working different angles. They both have their place. Why not both? All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.